This is a steal for the New York Rangers as they've made yet another signing, and this one no one saw coming first. And we're going to break down the implications this has for Chris Drury's plan heading forward because it is becoming more clear by the day. We have some insight into that. We're going to break that down, as well as the impact that this is going to have on the salary cap because there are still a ton of moves to be made. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 74% of you who watch these videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with your New York Rangers, go down below, hit that free subscribe button because this is the place to be for all your daily New York Rangers content. But let's get right into it. This just dropped. Matthew Robertson has signed a contract extension, and honestly, this one, first of all, is a surprise on this Friday morning, and a welcome one, a very welcome surprise. I'm glad they got this done, and for the dollar amount that they got it done, I mean, it was kind of a no-brainer, but I really like the contract. We'll get into the specifics of that in a second, but the biggest thing for me that this contract signals that there are a couple changes on the back end coming, and that is by way of Zach Jones and Carson Soucy. We'll get into specifics on that in a second as well. I believe both of those guys will be shipped off before the draft, which is a week away at this point. So yes, I do believe both of them will be traded. Do I agree with it? We'll get into that in a second. Let's talk about the contract. So Matthew Robertson will be returning. They have re-signed the RFA, and it's a pretty good contract. Let's get into the specifics of it. So it's structured very weirdly. He is 24 years old. I think he's actually ready to make the jump, maybe not full-time to the NHL, but he's going to take on some more assignments. He's going to be spending some more time in the NHL, and he actually did make his NHL debut at the end of this last 2024-25 season. I feel like they do believe in this player and that he will be a NHL defenseman. And again, 24 years old, left shot defenseman, 2-year deal. Again, structured very interestingly. So first year, $775,000 with a $150,000 minimum and $200,000 guarantee. So of course that is, you know, between the NHL and the AHL, of course, for that. And the second year, this is an interesting one. So the first year they have an option, one-way, two-way. He can go back down to Hartford if needed. And of course, I think they're still going to be making some significant changes on the back end heading into free agency. The second year is a one-way contract. And I think they're assuming that he's going to make his way into maybe the third pairing, maybe a second pairing defenseman at some point. That's kind of been the plan for him. He is already 24, but he spent some time developing, and I wonder if he's ready to make the leap. So the second year of this contract is a one-way contract, and I think that's very interesting. And again, as you can see here, it's going to kick in this year. He's going to also, this is a very interesting part of the contract too, he will be an RFA at the end of this contract as well when he turns 26 in 2027 when this is up. So he will still be an RFA. There will be team control. So this is honestly a tidy piece of business. This is a big defenseman. We know what he brings to the table. We've been following him for a long time, not only on the channel, but all Rangers fans have been keeping tabs on him in Hartford, and he's looked pretty good. Again, 24, he's 6'4". He likes to throw the body around a little bit. He needs to learn how to use his size at the NHL level, but I do have faith that he's going to do that. And again, tidy piece of business here. But I think it's interesting in this contract that this was signed now. You're not signing Zach Jones. Like, this is giving us some insight into, there's a lot of money, not a lot. Obviously, a lot of these contracts are tidy work. I like the Matt Rempe one as well. Adam Edstrom still needs to get done, but they're all under $1 million. I really like it. But slowly you're chipping away at $800,000, $800,000, $800,000. You're going to have to make a trade here if you really want to upgrade that back end significantly with all the contract projections that we've been talking about. So going to be very interesting to see what happens with that. Now, I thought this was funny. I just wanted to bring this up. Shout out to Maddie. New York Rangers fans, we want Robertson. Drury's like, you got it, boss. Maybe not Jason Robertson, but you're getting Matthew Robertson. So I thought that was a funny tweet this morning as well. From Peter Baugh, the Matthew Robertson extension is a two-way deal on the first year. Again, we kind of broke this down. And a one-way at the league minimum on the second, per a source. And he made his NHL debut at the end of last season. So I do think that, you know, this is not a guy that they're signing that, you know, they don't think is going to make it. This is a guy who they have full faith is going to be making an impact in the NHL. He will be, and maybe not like a game-breaking player, but he will be an NHL defenseman. They do have faith in that, so I think it's very interesting. And of course, Robertson skated in 60 games for Hartford last season, and he had 24 assists and 25 points in those games. And he had AHL career highs last season, so just a great season overall for Matthew Robertson. So feeling very good about this contract specifically. And, he went on to say that it's been a dream. This was right after his debut in April. He said it's been a dream to wear the red, white, and blue since getting drafted in 2019. So obviously it's been a long road for him to finally make his NHL debut, but it looks like he's finally turning the corner and he will be a regular NHLer. Now, I wanted to dive into what this contract signing means for the team. And I thought this was interesting. This is from Bald Panarin. Awesome account. Love it. I'm going to say it every time. Frank Saravalli on the New York Rangers. Number one, Chris Drury's in on everything. We've been saying it on the channel. Brett and I have both been saying Chris Drury's got his hands in every cookie jar right now around the league. So it's going to be interesting to see what goes down, because I feel like he's poking his head into every single conversation. He's in every WhatsApp chat. He's that guy. He's in every WhatsApp chat right now with all the GMs, just seeing what's going on, poking around. But this was the interesting thing to me, the most interesting, I should say. Soucy and Jones are available. We know Soucy's going to be traded. Soucy has to be traded for them to sign Will Cooley, essentially, because he's going to be making essentially what Soucy's making. Now, I saw people in the comments and I see people online saying, Soucy wasn't that bad. Why don't you hang on to him? Everyone's talking like he was the worst defenseman in the league. It's not necessarily about that. It's the fact that he's not good enough to be able to keep on the team. He didn't make that much of an impact, and you have to shed that salary. If you shed that salary, the salary basically cancels out for Will Cooley. You're going to sign him to about $4 million. Soucy makes $3.25 million. It basically cancels out in that way. Obviously, you're going to be giving a little bit more, and then you still maintain a lot of flexibility on your cap to sign a number one defenseman if you want, or maybe not a number one defenseman, but a guy to play with Adam Fox and maybe Gavrikov, let's say, for example. And you will still have flexibility after that. And you have most of your team locked up already. You just need to sign Will Cooley, maybe get another forward. But do you even really need another forward? I think you have trust in that fourth line at this point. Once you sign Adam Edstrom, I have faith in it. It was one of their best lines last season at times. So it's going to be interesting to see what they end up doing. And again, I thought this was an interesting thing. And, we got into everything that's been happening at the end of, last season, the fact that the team essentially quit on the organization and the GM. So obviously that's why they're making a lot of moves to get rid of certain guys who were involved in that. And again, Soucy and Jones are available. And if we take a look now at some of the the lineups, some contract projections as well. This is kind of what the lineup looks like right now. I'm assuming, if you look at that defense, Soucy and Miller are gone, so you're gonna have to fill in those spots. I would imagine left D1 is going to be filled in free agency. Obviously, Cooley still needs a contract. Edstrom, I would imagine, is going to make exactly the same as Rempe, if not maybe a little bit less, depending on a few factors. So we'll see how that plays out. Because Edstrom was fantastic, and Cooley, I would imagine, is at the $4 million mark, and it's probably going to be a bridge deal, but we'll see what happens there as well. If you take a look at, again, Matthew Robertson, great season last season. And then if you take a look at what Zach Jones might be making on a contract, in theory, $1 million is a no-brainer. You would sign him to that, but I feel like his camp is maybe asking for 1.5, maybe even a little bit more. So that's where things get very interesting, where it's like, can we afford this player at 1.5? I love Zach Jones, first of all. I just want to put that on the record. I think Zach Jones is fantastic. I would love to keep him on the team. And I'm a really, really big supporter of his, and I always have been on the channel. So, again, they have to get either this contract done or trade him in the next week and continue to roll with whatever plan that they have in place. But it's going to be interesting. Carson Soucy, not a huge fan of him. Wouldn't hate if he were traded and free up that salary cap space to then sign Will Cooley. You have the flexibility still. And then obviously with Zach Jones, love Zach Jones, but if there is another big plan in place to bring in maybe a couple difference-making defensemen, then I think that's fine, because the rest of the team will take shape. And this is JT Miller's team at this point. I wonder if he is named captain at some point this summer. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they end up doing. But let me know in the comments how you feel about Matthew Robertson getting his contract extension. The structure of the contract is interesting. The dollar amount, I think, is great for the New York Rangers. I think they see him as an NHL defenseman. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do. Let me know how you feel in the comments, and about Zach Jones and Carson Soucy as well, because it looks like they're going to be shipped off before next week's NHL entry draft, which is just a week away at this point. We're going to have you guys covered on the channel for everything. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.